And we're back. Today we're going to talk about pirates, artwork, and laziness. So let's jump right in. We'll take the new highwaymen and then we're just going to grab some guys at random, take on these pirates. Yeah, let's do this. So one of the biggest criticisms against this game was the artwork, and I think that's probably reasonable. I was going for something like a 16-bit pixel art, but I didn't want to have some of the restrictions that usually entails. I didn't want to deal with the sprite size limitations, and I'm using transparency and blending, which actually gets away from some of those color restrictions. Personally, I think the end results are okay. I definitely would have done something different, like in retrospect. I chose the art style pretty early before writing any code. I knew that I knew that I wasn't a great artist, and importantly, I knew that, well, frankly, I'm lazy. That's kind of a key thing that'll come up multiple times. Pixel art was kind of the logical choice. I was familiar with the tools and the style, and so I already had some code for display and scaling. Ooh, let's see, I'm gonna have to pause. What am I gonna do with this guy? I think he is going to go right here, and if we're lucky, the knight will walk into this slice attack. Probably will, he's not that smart. So, I really wanted to, I was kind of worried. I'm not a great artist, and I know that, and I wanted to avoid what I kind of call the flash game effect, which is, you know, that sort of high-res but simple animations with just geometry, and I don't think that looks great. I started with characters, since the game is sort of centered on them, and I needed a template that I could build off of. The first piece was resolution. I didn't think I'd be able to make uniquely identifiable characters at a low res. Shoot, all I can do is meditate. Maybe if I was a better artist, or if I was more flexible with the color choices, you know, that might work. Let's see, what can I do with this guy? We will get pumped, and then we're gonna slice this guy. How about that? That'll work. So, second consideration was kind of the character style that I used. I sort of ruled out like a humanoid type style pretty early on. That kind of, there's higher expectations with that. Specifically, like you need different animations, like walking, attacking, idle animations, and I really wasn't confident in my own drawing skills. See, nope, not quite dead. And if I was smart, I would have done that first, but oh well. So that left me with choosing something more abstract. I had two ideas. I could start with like a sphere, or I could start with some sort of a block. So you know, the sphere was kind of more problematic. Like I start with a sphere and build around that as a character, and that was problematic with pixel art, and it kind of reduced the usable canvas for a character. Since this came out, I saw another game that had an elegant solution for this problem. It was, I don't know what the game was, but it was representing characters as board game pieces, which I thought was just brilliant. I wish I had thought of that. If I make another sequel or something, or redo this in some way, I am totally stealing that idea. I don't want to hit the squire, so I'm moving out of the way a little bit. It's probably gonna... Come on, yes! Alright, I actually have a lot more to talk about, so I'm just going to go ahead and go into the pirates and hope that timing works out right. Wasn't actually expecting that battle to go over that quickly. So, we'll grab the knight, and the rest will be random. So, landlubbers. Ha! So yeah, next consideration I had was kind of a rendering consideration. How am I actually going to render these characters in this world? And isometric was kind of the obvious choice. Let me be lazy. Let's be honest. It let me be lazy. I only need two animations. If you notice the pirate, if you look real closely, pirate on one shoulder, pirate on other shoulder. All I'm doing is just mirroring the two images. It's a lot easier. You don't notice until I point it out, probably. At least I would hope. Oh, why did I pick the Bard? Oh well, can't do much for the moment. It'll be good in a minute, but until then. So the first couple characters were the Ninja, the Pirate, and the Legionnaire. The Pirate was one of the first ones I had. And I kind of built everything around that, based on that sort of art style. I kind of adjusted like the size of the head for characters, and I adjusted some other things based on those initial like tests. I also needed to develop an animation system. I needed some way to animate these characters, to do the attack animations particularly. So what I did is I wrote my own kind of keyframe animation concept in C# in the code. I knew the volume of, what can I do? Nothing. I knew that the volume of these attacks was going to be high. There's going to be a lot of them, and that was going to cause problems, just in terms of asset creation. You know what, let's do something other than just attack these guys blindly, since they're both defending. Let's do the smart thing, and blind them. Yeah. That'll help. So yeah, this keyframing system had, there was a system for asset translation, rotation, transparency. There's some sound playback, and I could move characters around in this animation system. It's pretty streamlined, so I just needed to write up a little bit of code and you just execute it based on relative to the time when the attack starts, relative to the position of the character and the target character, and the direction that you're facing, and things like that. But anyway, that kind of left me with one problem, which is eventually I started noticing that the game is pretty static. If you're just sitting around waiting for something, like there's not a lot going on. It's a pretty static screen. As long as you're moving, it's fine, but when you're not moving, the only thing that, when you're not like actively doing something or attacking, not a lot's actually going on screen. So you notice some of the characters occasionally blink. You really only notice it with the guys that are facing me, of course, but occasionally they blink. And that actually helped a lot, at least in my mind. This one. Because otherwise things were very static. So I tried doing some more things. I tried to get some background animation in, some of these like tiles, animate them somehow. And the results were not great, because what I did is I focused on the tiles that were probably the most heavily used. So like these water tiles and grass tiles and things. I tried to animate those. I tried like just randomly cycling images for these, and I tried kind of doing them in waves. So I'd have like a wave from the top down of water sort of moving, but it looked really bad, if I'm honest. And I sort of gave up on that. In retrospect, if I thought about it more, I would have focused on just a few select tiles. Like I would have just had animations on, I would have had just animations on a few tiles, like maybe a light in a window flickering, or a, let's see, 10 or 15 damage. Pirate is at 5 health. Yeah, he's done for. So yeah, I would have had smaller, more focused animations. Maybe just a couple per level. I think that would have been a better choice, a better approach. But hey, you live, you learn, and that's a lot of work at this point. So, I guess I want to talk briefly about fonts while these guys are still punching each other. I ended up using 6 different fonts. I wasn't really happy with kind of the fonts that were available, the off-the-shelf fonts. They didn't scale well. Like if you have like a low point font but scaled up, it looked really bad. Like the various sides of like a letter would be different widths, and it didn't work very well. So I ended up just making my own, and they're kind of there's 6 different fonts, but a few of those are kind of overlapping. There were 4 unique fonts, and then okay, that does help. 4 unique fonts, and then 2 kind of border fonts. So like you see these pop-ups, there's like a border around them, and that's to kind of distinguish them when the background isn't a flat color, where I don't need that on some of these places like buttons and things. Alright, so come on. These guys he's gonna take another round, that's annoying. pretty much all I had to talk about in the in battle. I do have a couple more things to talk about in the map, but I've got to actually, beat these guys up first. Come on. You know what I'm going to do? I'll enable double speed, which is something that I introduced kind of at during like initial testing when I sent this to review for the Xbox Live Indie Game channel. The one comment I had was that combat was very slow, so I wanted to improve that, and it does make things faster. Suddenly I'm talking faster because, well, it's faster. Stabby, stab, 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 stab. But I try not to do that for this game while playing because it's kind of disorienting. I think it's harder to follow what's going on. It's really handy. Menu, double speed, helps a lot. What are you doing? Meditate. Let's see. 3-on-1. This should not be a challenge at all. Let's see. He's out of AP, and the knight is low on HP and action points. Fireball from orbit. That'll work. Is he gonna take him out? Come on. Ooh, I think he's dead. Ah, shoot. Not good. I don't think I'm in a bad position per se. These guys have a lot of health, and between the two of them, they're gonna win. Yes. Okay, there we go. Now I can talk about what I was going to talk about. What I was going to finish talking about was the map, some of these other things. So we won. We unlocked a pirate. Yay. So the map. I wanted an old-style map, but I still wanted to kind of retain that pixel art style. So it's kind of rough around the edges type of map. And there's definitely some conceits to pixel art with the background colors inside of this blending around what should be kind of the water around these islands. This was settled on pretty early, like the whole map design. Some of the details have changed over time, but when I decided I was gonna stop making characters and get the game ready to ship, I basically I literally cut the map in half. This map used to be twice as tall as it is now, and I just kind of cut the bottom off where there was a bunch of other levels. There was a big city that a bunch of levels were going to take place in. This island over here was slightly different, and it was also in the bottom left corner. I say new, this is new to the PC version. Last couple things I want to talk about. I want to go back to the menu screen. Talk about this. This menu screen, the animations and the drawing for this came in pretty late. I didn't have an idea for this for a long time. I really didn't know what to do, and I whipped this up kind of quickly right when I was getting ready to ship. And I'm generally happy with it. It looks okay enough. Definite evidence of my laziness, though. And last thing, if the title screen was last minute, this was laster minute. These vertical slice things came in after I'd already submitted it for Xbox Live Indie Games channel, and I needed to resubmit it for various reasons. So I added these, and I didn't do these like narrow vertical slices for stylistic reasons. I mean, I did, but not really. The real reason, laziness. Definitely laziness. And anyway, that's really all I have to say. It's all about laziness. I fully admit I'm a lazy artist and guilty as charged.